expanding my Inspired by Baking series. I did a cake in the summer inspired by like Water for Chocolate, the book, and the movie, but the book. And I want to do some more story bakes, but now that I think about it, I think that would be a good theme for Bakemas in December. So in December, I'll probably find a couple more book themed bakes or like movie themed bakes. And so we'll do a story bake week. Actually, let me write that down. Um, so because I have I have two versions of this recipe. Well, okay, sorry. Distracted. Because out I'm already planning out story bakes week. Okay, so story bakes week will be another week for Bake Miss. 24 days of cozy chaos. Okay, so I say all that to say that I went down another rabbit hole and I've been listening to the new Cardi B album and I love it. And so I wanted to bake something inspired by one of the songs. So I did a poll on my Instagram. Go over there, MeMeCherry IG. Mimi as a meme, cherry as in the fruit, and then IG as in Instagram. And my IG friends voted on Check Please as the song that we would be baking inspired by. So today we are making Check Please gold glazed donuts. I have never, wait, but these are buntlets. No, I want donuts. See, we're using the pan, but we're making donuts. And so this is still the same recipe, right? So, okay, so yesterday, yes, it is. It's just that it calls out the buntlet. So yesterday when I was getting into the recipe, because I try to get in the habit of really digesting the recipe, especially before I go live, to A, make sure I have all the ingredients, but B, make sure we have all the tools. And so it called for a donut pan, which I don't have, but I'm trying to limit single-use items in the kitchen as much as possible. And I did recently, well, a couple months ago, I got this Nordic Ware buntlet pan with the little swirls, and it actually is pretty much close to a donut pan. It's just fancier donuts because of the swirl. And I figured since we're doing gold donuts, why not make them swirly, fancy gold donuts? But this is my first time making donuts. I've never made donuts before, but we're doing baked donuts. So it shouldn't be that much of a stretch from the usual baked adventures that we go on. So today we're making Check Please Cardi B inspired gold glazed swirl donuts. Okay, so earlier this morning I already pulled out 2 eggs to come to room temperature. I have my buttermilk coming to room temperature. They've been sitting out for a while. And now we're going to weigh out the rest of our ingredients. But before I do that, I should have done this before I went live. I have some dishes in the sink, so let me get them out of the sink before we get started. Which means, really quick, a little bit of dishes ASMR, because I need to put some of these dishes away, because I don't like working in chaos. So let's put some of this away first. Where's our Red Bull? And then later today, I made a grocery order, but the plan for later today, when I go live in the afternoon, we'll be doing part 2. So today's a double baking adventure. First, we're going to be working on our gold donuts this morning. But then this afternoon, after the groceries are arrived, I'm going to keep working on the wicked cake that I started yesterday. So yesterday I made pistachio cream. I made sweet pistachio cream from scratch. And then I had to order some raspberries and some other things for the recipe. So I'm going to be working on this later after the groceries come around noon. But I also really wanted to do this Cardi B gold donut, especially now that her album is doing really good. So I figured, why not? Let's pay some homage to the Bronx princess. You heard. But first, because I can't work in chaos, I have to clean out this sink. So I'm so sorry. Look, you can like ASMR clean the dishes with me. But let's see. Today is Tuesday. It's still early here in California. Usually I'd be in the gym, but I'm trying to get better about not overtraining. I got into a little bit of a bad habit of overtraining this summer, and I was starting to get injuries that just were not healing. And so since I trained yesterday, I figured, let me take today off and make it a baking day. And then tomorrow I'll go back into the gym at 5 in the morning. 6 in the morning. But today we're baking. Okay, in a minute, because I just need 1 more minute to put these dishes away because I just can't concentrate with so much stuff on the counter. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's the neuro spicy of it all. Get all my cookie scoops. I'm gonna need some of these anyways, so I might as well get them pulled out. Hey. I don't like that. We have an empty dishwasher. Okay, and now we're going to take the things that are in the sink from last night's pistachio adventure. And put them in the dishwasher. That way, we have a clear space. And a clear space is a clear mind. I've been getting better about making my bed. I used to be like, I don't know, I'm in a like nesting season. I've never been like super domestic, but for the last couple of months, I've been trying to be more in my feminine domestic goddess energy, because it feels nice. It feels nice to like take pride in your space. It feels nice on your brain to take care of yourself and to take care of the space around you, because when your space is cluttered, it really is true that your brain is cluttered. Especially if you're already a neuro spicy baddie like me, which I am. Hello. Shout out neuro spicy baddies. Okay. Ta-da. Now I can focus. Okay. So We need our oven at 350, so let's get our oven preheating. We want the oven at temperature for a little while before we try to put anything in it. You don't want it to like just have gotten to temperature and then you're like, boom, let's put our things in. No, you want it at temperature for a while. Okay, so we're gonna be using all-purpose flour. We have our King Arthur all-purpose flour. We need sugar. So we have our granulated sugar. We need baking powder, baking soda, and salt. Baking powder, baking soda, and salt. And so this is all of our dry ingredients. So let's start there since it's gonna have us whisk our dry ingredients. Let's get that together first. So let's do, get a glass bowl so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's put this down. Let me wipe down my counter. Okay. All right. Okay, so grams. We need 250 grams of all-purpose flour. So we're going to weigh out 250 grams. Ooh, that's a little bit more than we needed. Let's get 250. $250.1. Close enough. Okay, so that's our King Arthur all-purpose flour. Now we're going to let me put this here so I can see it. Okay, what's next? Okay, so we need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. It's a quarter. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's good morning for me. It's 6 a.m. California time. But hello, hi. Hope you're doing well. 2 teaspoons, this is a half. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So 2 teaspoons. One. 2. So that's our baking powder. And now our baking soda, we need 1/4 of a teaspoon. So we take our baking soda, we need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We'll take our salt. See, you want to even it out. So that's your 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Hello. Okay. And then we need sugar. We need 100 grams of sugar. We're at 95.9, 98, 99, 100. And that's regular granulated sugar. So now, this is all-purpose flour, 100 grams of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we're gonna take this, whisk it together so that all of our dry is properly mixed together. So we mix our dry, mix, mix, mix. Great. That's our dry mix. So now, we'll leave that aside. Now we need the rest of our wet ingredients. So we have 180 milliliters of buttermilk that's been coming to room temperature. We have 2 eggs that have been coming to room temperature. Let's go ahead and get them out of their shells. So, do this over the sink. One eggy, one egg, 2 egg, 2 egg. Then we need 60 grams of melted butter. So let's measure out 60 grams. That's like about 1/4 cup. I think that's 1/2 stick. Let's see. Okay, let's get... All right, let's see. Actually, no, not here. Let's do it in the bowl that we're gonna melt. So let's get our bowl. And we need 60 grams of butter. And yeah, 1 stick is half a cup, so it's about half a stick. So we're just gonna cut half a stick and see where that lands us. Let's see where that lands us. I can never get this paper off. All right. So 55, and we need 55.8, and we need 60. So let's shave off a tad bit more butter. $58.5, 59.9. How you gonna go 59.8? 60. Boom. Okay. So now we're gonna put this back in the fridge. So we have our 60 grams of butter. We're gonna melt it. But let's get the rest of our ingredients. So we're gonna put the other half of the butter away. Okay, great. Great. Okay, so now we need a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste. And actually, since vanilla is really the only flavor that it has, we're gonna bump up the vanilla a little bit more than it says. So it says 1 teaspoon of vanilla bean paste or extract. We're gonna do 1 teaspoon of paste and 1 teaspoon of extract, because that's what I do with my vanilla pound cake, because I want it to taste like vanilla. And again, this is the first time I'm making these, and really that's the flavor profile for these. They're vanilla donuts. So let's really taste this vanilla. So let's go ahead and let's get 1 teaspoon of vanilla bean paste. Beautiful. And of extract. Let's really kick up that vanilla. And then if these are successful, which I suspect they will be, I think it would be fun to maybe, and this could be a bake miss idea, again, since they're relatively simple flavor-wise, I feel like it's a good base to play with like different flavors of donuts. And so maybe for the holidays, I could make coquito donuts. I need to make some coquito. It's almost coquito season. Okay, so now it does have an optional tablespoon of champagne or sparkling wine. I don't drink alcohol anymore, so I don't have any. And since it's optional, we're just gonna skip it. But if I was making these for Cardi B, I would absolutely, after she had the baby, I would absolutely put the best champagne in it. But today we're gonna skip the champagne. Okay, so let's mix all this together. So now let's combine our wet ingredients, which is gonna be our buttermilk, Scraping with a rubber spatula is so satisfying. Get all that yummy goodness in there. 1 egg. 2 egg. Some dishwasher. Now we need our vanilla, our delicious vanilla bean paste, and our vanilla extract. And then we need to melt our butter, so we're going to melt it in the microwave really quick. We also need to prep our pan, so let's do that really quick. We have our Nordic Ware swirl buntlet pan. This is the pan that we're using for our donuts today, and we're baking our donuts. So we're taking Pam baking spray and making sure that we get that in all of our little crevices, because we don't want our donuts to get stuck in our pan. We need a new bottle. Okay, again, Pam baking, best stuff. And then I like to put it on the sink face down, so that any extras, instead of settling into the crevices, it all kind of like evenly spreads out onto the pan. So our pan is now in the sink upside down, letting all that yummy Pam baking goodness settle into the crevices. And now we're going to take our immersion, actually we're gonna use the big paddle. Let me see here. Make some sense of this. Our butter is mostly melted. What I'm going to take is that last bit. I'm just going to swirl it around in the hot butter and just finish melting it into itself, because I hate it when it pops in the microwave, because if you leave it too long in the microwave, it'll just start popping all over the place, and then you have butter all over the inside of your microwave, and that's not fun. That's not where we want our butter. We want our butter in our recipe. So see, look like that. Now it's all melted. So we're gonna pour that in. Okay. Okay, let's take our pan out. Cute. Okay, so now we're going to take our paddle attachment and mix this up. Okay, and now we're gonna in parts slowly add our dry into our wet. So, like that. You don't want to overmix. Scrape down the sides. Scrape the bottom. Okay, we keep going. Add some more dry. Okay. 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 Wipe down the sides. Wipe down the paddle. Okay. More of the dry mix. Scrape down the sides. Because it says not to overmix, we're now getting towards the end. That wasn't fully incorporated, but we're gonna just put the last bit of our dry in so that we can finish mixing our batter, because we wanna be careful to not overmix. Okay. Okay, now down the sides. Make sure everything's getting mixed. Okay. Okay. And that looks pretty mixed. Again, because we want to be careful to not overmix. So let's take our handle, our mixer paddle, wipe it all down. Okay. So now we have our batter. Again, one last time, we want to scrape down the sides of the bowl. Make sure everything's been mixed. I don't see any flour pockets, so I think we're good. And now it says to estimate about half a cup for each of our little buntlet donuts. So that's what I did. I grabbed, good morning. So now I have half a cup for our buntlet, ¿cómo se dice? Donuts. Okay, so half a cup. What do we think? That seems right. What do we think? That seems about right. Right? Can you see? Right? Okay. We'll keep going with that measurement. Now it's just about getting it into the pan evenly. How do we do that? I think this is actually not a bad method. The pour and slice. The batter is thick enough that you can cut it almost. You want to get it all out. And we want to make sure it's even. Okay, right? What do we think? 2 down, 4 to go. Okay. This is when I start to hold my breath for no reason. Like, why? You need it. You need your oxygen. You need to breathe, Mimi. Okay, pour this out. I think it's because I get nervous. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Nothing, really. It could come out okay. I don't think so. We're looking pretty good. I think baked donuts they don't feel that hard. It doesn't feel like too much of a stretch from, you know, some of the other things that I've made. I feel like sponge cake is more advanced, and I've been able to somewhat pull it off. I still need to work on my sponge cake, which actually is going to be the cake that I'm making for the Wicked Cake. So later today, I'm going to be working on, I'm testing out a recipe. I got booked for the talent show out here in San Francisco for November, and the talent that I submitted was cake artistry, and the new Wicked movie will have just come out. So I'm going to do a Wicked themed cake that I'm going to decorate on stage while I lip sync to a Sabrina Carpenter song, because why not mash up the two big universes colliding right now in pop culture? And so I designed an idea for a Wicked cake that I'm gonna make it now to make sure that I can make it, make sure that it looks the way that I want it to, make sure I can pull it off, make sure I can decorate it, time myself while I decorate it, since I'll be doing it to the song, and so I'll only have so much time. So I need to make sure that I can do it to the song. And yeah, so anyways, last night I made pistachio sweet cream for that, and I ordered some groceries, and so as soon as the grocery order comes here around noon, I'm gonna work on the rest of the components for our cake, which is gonna be some fresh raspberry puree, and what I'm making is a cloud cake. We're making two cakes from the same base batter, the same cloud cake batter, but one will then be flavored with the pistachio cream I made last night, and one will be flavored with the raspberry puree that I'm making today. And then with the rest of the pistachio cream and raspberry puree, I'm gonna also make some white chocolate ganache. So I'm gonna make some raspberry white chocolate ganache, and I'm gonna make some pistachio white chocolate ganache. And ultimately, if everything works out as I'm planning, it should look like this when I'm done. So I'm gonna be working on this later. So if you haven't hit subscribe, feel free to hit subscribe. This will be my big project that I'm working on this week, is my Wicked cake. But I also promised my Instagram followers that I would make some Cardi B gold donuts. So that's what we're doing right now. We're making the Cardi B gold donuts. So we have the last of our donut batter. We're gonna get that into our pan, just like that. I already feel really good about this. I feel like this is going to be quite successful. I mean, just the shape of the little buntlet alone, I think is going to add to the drama of it all. Okay, so let's take the last of our batter and divide it amongst our pans, our little only pans. Would you sign up to my only pans? LOL. Get the last bit of the batter out. We don't want to waste any of this. We don't want to waste any of it. Get it into our pans. Get these all even. we'll check on our oven temperature in a second. We want these to be even. Okay, let's see. All right. Beautiful. Okay, so now okay, so now, okay, hi. Okay, so we have our pan full of our delicious vanilla bean Cardi B, check please, donuts. Let's check our oven temperature. Perfect, it's at 350, which is exactly what we need. So let's run this down. We have mixed our dry ingredients. We mixed our wet ingredients. We combined it all together. We've put it into our pan. Now we're gonna bake for 12 to 13 minutes until edges are golden and a toothpick comes out clean. My lucky number is 13, so we're gonna put 13 minutes on the, we're gonna put this in and we're gonna put 13 minutes on the clock. Now, while that is doing its magic in the oven, we're gonna make our gold glaze for our donuts. So, whew. Okay, great. So we have a few, I love metallics. I love to paint with metallics, and I love any chance I can pull out some metallics for a baked project. So we have a few things to decorate our gold donuts with. We have 2 gold powders. We have some edible spray shimmer. All of this is edible. We have edible gold flakes, and then we also have gold sprinkles ranging in sizes. So for now, we're gonna make our gold glaze, and then depending on how we feel, we might top some of the donuts with like either a little flake of edible gold or like maybe a couple of little pearls. We'll see how we're feeling. We'll see how Cardi B we're feeling. But let's make our glaze. So we need a little bowl. We need our scale again. So we have our scale out. We're gonna need 120 grams of powdered sugar. And by the way, if you haven't hit subscribe, make sure you hit subscribe because I'm really excited about the Wicked Cake. I think it's gonna be a really fun project, and it'll be a multi-part project. So the goal for today is we're making our raspberry puree, and then we're gonna make our ganaches today. And I think that's the plan for today. I think I'm gonna save the cakes for tomorrow, and then we'll bake the cakes tomorrow, and then those have to cool overnight, and then the plan would be that Thursday we would do the full assembly and decoration of the cake. So again, feel free to hit subscribe so that you can follow along for the Wicked Cake. But right now, today we're doing Cardi B gold donuts. Check please. Okay, so we have our 120 grams of powdered sugar. We need 2 tablespoons of milk or cream. So I have a little bit of cream that's still left over, so let's use this. 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So that's a little drizzle. Oop. We measure vanilla with our hearts. A pinch of salt. Pinch of salt. And then we need gold dust. Let's start with that. Okay, and now let's take a little spoon. I think we're gonna need a little more cream and a little more gold. Yep, we do. Let's actually use a little bit of milk. She needs some milk. Eight minutes left on our oven. She's looking a little thick still. We don't want her too runny, but we don't want her too thick either. Like we want to be able to glaze our donuts. It's looking a little beige. It's not, she's not giving gold. Let's try shimmer spray, which we might just have to spray on top. Yeah, I think when I mix it in, it just ends up turning beige. But what we're gonna do is use that glaze still. It does have a little bit of shimmer in it, but then we'll top them off with a spritz, because then you get that gold shimmer, right? So that'll be the plan. Okay, but our glaze looks pretty good. It looks still, we don't want it to be too runny because we want it to stay on the donut. I think this is actually good because we want to be able to like dunk our donut. Maybe a tiny bit more milk. Just a touch. Just a tiny touch. Little leche if you try. Just a tiny touch. You and I. Okay, got a little more loose. There we go. She's looking silky. She's looking shiny. She's looking gorgeous. Oh, this looks so good. Yeah, that's our consistency. That's what we're going for. See that? That's good. And she's giving a little bit of gold tone, but again, we're gonna give them a little shimmer. And then I think these are fun, but they're kind of crunchy. So I think maybe gold flakes is more the vibe. And then I think we're done with our little powder tubs. So I'm gonna put these away. Okay, and now let's do a little bit of cleaning. Because if you've been with me before, you know that I like to clean up as I go. So, the one thing about the shimmer spray, it's great, but it gets everywhere. It gets everywhere. All right, cute. So, 5 minutes left on our oven, so we'll just go ahead and hang out for a little bit so that you guys can see the donuts come out of the oven. And then they're gonna need to They're gonna need to cool for a while before we can glaze them. But I think maybe I'll save the glazing and the shimmer to record it for like a short and for a reel. But let's hang out and wait for the donuts to come out of the oven just to see what they look like. Let's see what we're working with. But while we hang out, feel free to say hi in the chat if you want to. I won't bite unless you want me to. And even then I'll be gentle. So we have it looks almost maple. Ooh, I should add a touch of maple to this. Yes, I'm gonna put a tiny bit of maple in this glaze because why not? Let's put a tiny bit of maple. Yeah. Yes, because it looks maple colored. And if it looks like maple, why not have it taste like maple syrup? That's genius. I'm so smart. Okay. Still good consistency. Let's see. What are we tasting like? Could almost use a little bit more maple. And a little bit more sugar. I mean, a little bit more salt. So let's throw a little more salt in there. Tiny bit more maple. Okay. Ooh, and I should make some bacon. Now I'm just turning these into like maple bacon donuts. But I should bake some bacon. Okay, so we're gonna mix in that last bit of salt, a little bit of maple. Yeah, now it's looking like a maple glaze. And yeah, that's good. 2 minutes up on the oven. All right, this is exciting. I'm very excited. Let me do a little video, a little slow-mo of our glaze. Slow-mo. Let's do cinematic of our shimmer. Boom. You're seeing behind the scenes of a short creation. Oh, that looks so pretty. You guys can kind of see it. It's dark outside, so I'm having to use lights, but you can kind of see that gold. It's looking more and more gold, especially when you spray the shimmer on it. It's just once you mix it in, it loses it. It loses the mica. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Now the phone wants to update. All right, well, I guess we're just gonna hang out for 30 more seconds. 20 seconds. 15. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's pull the donuts out the oven. That's the sound. Wow. I don't even know what I'm looking at. I think I did it right. But I feel like they need to be in the oven a little longer. I don't know. Ooh, toothpick. That's what we need. We need the toothpick test. Because, are they supposed to be brown? Until the edges are golden. Do we have golden edges? A toothpick. No, the toothpick does not come out clean. Okay, these need to go back in the oven. Let's do, but this is what we're looking like so far. Let's do 4 more minutes. They looked a little pale. I think they need to be a little more golden. Yeah. This looks so pretty. It is starting to have swirls of shimmer in it, but it's gonna look so pretty. Honey, no. No. Okay, how are we feeling today? What are you guys up to today? Let's see, it's Tuesday. As soon as I'm done here, I'm gonna go log on to work because I work from home. It's still dark outside. Ugh, I hate this time of year. I hate it when it's dark so long. I need to go home to Puerto Rico where it's summer all year long. I'll be there in January. Hi. You guys want to see my dog? Come say hi. Come here, come. See, that's my dog. Say hi. Say hi. Come here. Come here. Honey, come. She said, I know better. I'm not supposed to be in here. She's not supposed to be in here. She's being a good girl. You're being a good girl. Okay. Let's take a look at our donuts again. Looking a little less pale, but still a little pale. They're definitely giving cake donuts, which cake donuts are cute. I've never done fried donuts. Maybe that's the next adventure. Although, can you make fried donuts in the air fryer? That'd be worth getting an air fryer for. If I can make donuts in the air fryer as like fried donuts, then I'll get an air fryer. Now you wanna say hi? Now you're trying to say hi? Are you trying to say hi? Are you trying to say hi? This is the fun. This is the fun part of baking, the waiting. All right, let's take another look. Let's take these out. Let's do another poke test. Well, let's not turn the oven off. Leaving the oven on. Let's do another poke test. That one came out clean. That one came out clean. 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 Okay, we don't want to overbake them either. We don't want them to get dry. So since we got a clean, since we got a clean toothpick and that's our goal, I'm gonna call it. We're gonna call it. So this is what they look like now in the pan, but they're gonna look like this once they get inverted. So we're gonna let them rest on their pan. I might take a cake leveler and I might try to level these off a little bit. Actually, let's try that now. No, let it cool down. Let it cool down, ADHD. We're gonna let them cool down. Then I'm gonna try to level them off a little bit, their bottoms. And then we're going to glaze them and then give them one last spray of gold, and then they will be our gold donuts. But I'm gonna do all that off camera or off live. I'll try to record it and make a little short out of it. But that's our baking adventure for this morning. I'm gonna go to work now. This afternoon, after I get my grocery delivery, we're going to do part 2 of my wicked cake. So this afternoon, we're gonna be working on more of our components for our cake that I'm making from scratch. I'm making a raspberry and pistachio cake that in between the layers, it's gonna have pistachio, white chocolate ganache, and pistachio cream ribbons. And then the raspberry layer is gonna have raspberry, white chocolate ganache, and raspberry puree ribbons. And then at the end of the week, I should hopefully have a cake that looks somewhat like this. I've been changing my mind a little bit about what the top is gonna look like, but this was kind of like a placeholder, just to have like A, something to show, and B, something to keep in mind. And C, this is the first time that I've done a full diagram of a cake design. So I'm really excited to see how it goes from ideation to execution to full finalized product. So if you haven't hit subscribe, feel free to hit subscribe. Those will be the adventures for this week. So I'll be back later. Maybe I'll come back live again. Maybe I'll do some of the donut glazing recorded so that I can make a short, and then maybe I'll glaze the other ones live so that we can chit chat and so that you guys can see the final product. But we're halfway done with our Cardi B gold donuts, and this afternoon we'll be back with our wicked cake part 2. So for now, I hope to see you again, and if I don't, I hope you have a great life. Hope to talk to you soon. Bye.